Hello everybody, this is Furniture Bob here, and it's been a little while since I had a good old rip into somebody on the internet, and that is exactly what we're going to be doing today, so let's do this. So, as you guys know, in the month of May, I wasn't really that active on this YouTube channel, and this story that I'm about to tell is one of the reasons why. And I've existed on this planet for more than 18.5 years, and I've done a lot of things that I've regretted over those years. However, joining this particular racing league is one of the most regrettable things that I have ever done in a long time, I suppose. So, around mid-May, I was just scrolling through Twitter and I came across a racing league that was going to be taking place on NASCAR 15. And I might as well say it now, it just happens that I recently got NASCAR 15 on PC, and I even went as far as to actually get 3 copies of NASCAR 15, one for me, one for Domtron, and one for Russell. So, I looked at this racing league, this could be interesting, I might be able to get into this racing league, and I could even get my other mates involved, and all 3 of us could be racing in a league with each other, with other people. So, I joined the racing league, and then I got my other mates involved. And for a little while, it seemed like everything was good. However, it wasn't too long before things started to get a little bit shaky. So what happened is that we did a little practice session, and this is where I might as well introduce you guys to the league owner, who goes by the name of Jay. And I'm just going to say right now, Jay is going to have a pretty big part in this story that I'm about to tell. So we all got into a little test session, and it was pretty fun at first. Then some problems started happening. I might as well just get into where everything begins to get a little bit rocky. You officially are getting your first warning for poor sportsmanship and short temper with an official. If you want to speak to an official about it, please DM me. So, for context, this statement from Jay came after our little test session that we did. I didn't think too much of this, however, I didn't agree with how this message was written. So he says that was showing poor sportsmanship, which, to be fair, I did say some things that could come across as maybe a little bit braggy. However, when I say things like that, I should not be taken seriously, because not everything that I say should be taken seriously. Sometimes I say things just off the top of my head as a bit of fun, because I'm the type of guy who, when I'm having fun, sometimes I like to get a little bit braggy sometimes. But that's not something that should be taken personally. I don't mean anything bad by it. I'm just doing it because I feel like it, really. And then he goes on to say short temper with an official. Yeah, if you classify my behavior back there as being short-tempered, then it is clear to me that you do not understand how sarcasm works. So Jay has effectively given me a warning for pretty much no real reason, really. It's like, so what if I was, a little bit braggy and a little bit sarcastic? That's just what you're going to get out of some racers when you're running a racing league. Some people are like that, and the best thing to do is to just accept it. Don't get all politically correct and stuff. I am one of the least politically correct people that you will ever know, and that is why I will say things that a generic person might not say. So after I got that warning, I then messaged Jay privately to, set things straight and let him know that, maybe I could have been a little bit less in your face, and I didn't mean any harm by it. I was pretty much just having a little bit of fun, and not everything that I say should be taken seriously. And Jay was like, okay, well, we're all good now. I look forward to racing with you. And it seemed like everything was fine in the world. And then this happened. So then what happened is that an announcement came from the league, and apparently Domtron had been hired as a staff member. And this was my reaction to this. Wait, what? How the heck did Domtron become a staff member? I should be one too. Dude, you better chill with how you're saying that. My question is, how did it happen? It comes as a shock to me. He showed what I want in a staff member, and that's all you need to know. I don't understand. See, I want a staff member, and he showed what I want. Nice spelling of the word want, by the way. Well, I think I should be a staff member since I'm the one who came up with good ways to improve the league that you approved of. I guess to add some context to this message that I've said here, after the day that we did our first official test run, I wrote up an entire paragraph of ways that the league could be improved. And it just happens that Jay looked at that and was like, hey, this guy has a lot of really good ideas. I'm going to improve on most of these things and work the league like this. Because looking back, I think I came up with a lot of good ideas. Because some of the ideas that Jay was coming with originally, I wasn't a fan of. So essentially I came in and I almost fixed the league. Like, I made the league from a mess to almost perfect. See, that's not how it works. Then how does it work? You don't control it. Well, I know that. Nor do you need to know how I hire my staff. I like how he has to emphasize some of his words, because, you know, he's trying to make a point. It's a very weak point. So he tries to make it into something stronger, and pretty much trying to intimidate me, which it's failed, because I'm not intimidated. Actually, I already know. It's very obvious. You brought him on all because he shows good behavior and doesn't have a single problem with anything. Meanwhile, I have to suggest things so this league isn't a complete joke. Now, I'm just gonna add some things to the message that I sent here. Because to be completely honest, Jay can deny it all he wants, but I'm basically 100% correct with my answer. Really, the only reason why Jay hired Domtron as a staff member is because, you know, Domtron, he is this nice, kind, politically correct person who never complains about anything. He's just all nice and polite and stuff, you know. Meanwhile, I'm one to not hold back as much, and I'm one to speak my mind about things that I think are wrong or could be improved upon, you know. I have an opinion about pretty much anything, and in most cases, I'm not afraid to speak that opinion. You know, it's kind of funny how Jay's favorite NASCAR driver just happens to be Kyle Busch, who is also my favorite driver, and yet Kyle Busch is also someone who doesn't hold back. You know, Kyle Busch, he's someone to also speak his mind. He's basically a lot like me, you know. I find Kyle Busch to be really relatable, and yet with Jay, when someone is like that, he's like, no, you can't do that. So it's like, it's like, unless you're a yes man, there's no winning with Jay. That's why I don't like this guy, and that's why I had to make this video in the first place, and get spicier from here. So from this little conversation that I had with Jay, I actually got 2 warnings in a row, and the third one came to the point where I got released from the league. We're going to look over those warnings now, as a garbage truck has just dropped the thingamajig. You are officially getting a second warning for short temper with an official, along with dissing a fellow driver. Repercussions will be announced later. Well, of course, those repercussions don't matter now because I've now been yeeted from the league. But you say that I'm showing short temper with an official. If you classify my words back there as me showing short temper, then clearly you are a big snowflake. Because if you're gonna get upset over that and classify that as short temper, then you are a big snowflake and you should not be in charge of an entire racing league. And then he goes on to say dissing a fellow driver. In what sentence did I diss Domtron? Because I barely mentioned him in those messages. You know, all I did was ask, why is Domtron a staff member? And then you have to escalate into this for effectively no reason. But now we get into the third warning. This is where things get really juicy. You officially have been released from the league due to short temper. You're talking on Discord You're talking on Discord acting. Oh my god. This is someone who runs a supposed racing league. He can't even spell. He can't even type words out correctly. He makes all of these grammatical errors. Like, dude, you're in charge of a racing league. If you have to be this much of a snowflake, at least spell things right. That's something that even I can do. And I know I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but at least I can spell things right. This is kindergarten level spelling here. In fact, no, it's not even kindergarten level spelling here. You would learn this stuff in kindergarten. Like, come on! How low have we come in 2020? Anyway, I'm going to try to read this correctly. You're talking on Discord, acting like you own the league. This is because every time I talk to you, you were a jerk. Always asking people to hurry up and bad-mouthing every choice I made, which is different than feedback. You will no longer race with us. You have 24 hours to the server, or you will be removed. Lots to tear apart from this message, besides the poor grammar here and there. Okay, first of all, he says, due to short temper. Like I said earlier, if you classify my words as short temper, you are a snowflake. You're talking on Discord, acting like you own the league. Again, false. I never once acted like I own the league. I suggested that I should be a staff member in the league, but I never acted like I own the league. So now you're just trying to spin a narrative into something that's not. This is another theme with Jay that will become more apparent as the story goes on. This is because every time I talk to you, you were a jerk. Barely a jerk. The fact, again, this is the main theme at this point. If you classify as the words I said here as me being a jerk, again, snowflake. Oh man. We're not even into the best part of the story, and it's already getting good. And then he goes on to say, always asking people to hurry up. Now that is another thing I said that should not be taken seriously. Honestly, the fact that you, Jay, take so many of the things I say to heart, again, I've already said the S word like 3 times. Then he goes on to say, bad-mouthing every choice I made, which is different than feedback. Again, that's another thing that I said that should not be taken seriously. Again, another example of the S word. And of course, he then goes on to say, you have 24 hours to leave the server or you will be removed. So after this all went down on a Saturday night, the following day, on Sunday evening, which just happened to be the same Sunday that NASCAR made its grand return, the two of us had our own little meeting through voice chat, and I was hoping that I could clear my name, and I would be able to then race in the league, get the warnings removed, and set the record straight. Because I did it once before, and I felt like I could do it again. But of course, I couldn't. And it's funny, because later in the story, Jay says that I'm the one with a thick head, and it's so ironic, because that is literally something that you can say about Jay. He is a thick-headed person who can't take criticism, can't take sarcasm, can't take joke words that should not be taken seriously, and then he gets butthurt over words that I would look at as, well, I don't see anything wrong here. And that's basically how the meeting went. We talked, and Jay just wanted to just come in and regurgitate all the things I said before in his warnings. He basically didn't even let me defend myself. He was, I came up and said, well, I disagree with this because X, Y, and Z, and he was like, no, you did this. You are a bad person. He might as well have just said that one sentence and then ended the meeting right there. So the meeting went absolutely nowhere, so I was like, fine. If you don't want me in your joke of a racing league, then fine, I won't waste my time with you anymore. So I left the league, didn't say much about it after with Domtron. So a few days later, on the Tuesday after that happened, then Domtron had to attend something else in the league. And let's just say that the way that Domtron left the call that me and him were in at the time before he went to the league, I did not like it at all. I was rather upset that Domtron was going into the league for reasons that I'll get into later in the video. And to put it simply, I did not like this at all. Domtron was going to be spending some time with someone who I now didn't like very much, rather than spending some time with me doing things that I wanted to do with him. And I disliked this so much to the point where I created an alternative Twitter account and an alternative Discord account. And I did this so I could get into the league And my original plan was to take some screenshots of my conversations with Jay, and then I would make a video exposing Jay and basically kind of trying to cancel Jay in the league, which is pretty much what I'm going to do with this video. Maybe, possibly, I'm not too sure. But getting into the juicy stuff, so I was able to fool Jay into thinking that I was somebody else when actually it was me the whole time. And I was let into the server under this alternative account, and of course took the screenshots that I needed. But then I decided to kind of blow my cover a little bit. I then, under my alternative account, I said, well, I think you're being a little bit too harsh on SpongeBob, and he didn't necessarily deserve what he got. And then Jay had this to say: I apologize for the strict code, but it is needed due to the recent problems we have had. Yes, problems that could have been entirely prevented had you not been a snowflake, Jay. But then Jay began to figure out my master plan. That, it was me in disguise. So then we kind of bantered back and forth a little bit about it. And then I logged out of my alternate account. And then Domtron also found about the whole, shebang. So Domtron, being Domtron, was really upset by this, and it's not the first time, by the way, that Domtron has been upset over effectively nothing. To the point where he sent me some messages, through Discord DMs, pretty much spinning the narrative how, oh, I'm such a bad person and stuff like that. Even though that's really not the case at all. And then he gets into how I sabotage the server, which is, that's not even sabotage. I didn't go into the server under a alternate account, to mess things up in the server. I literally just went in there to take some screenshots so I could make a video and then leave. So then Jay caught wind of this, and I guess one thing that's worth mentioning is that after our last meeting, Jay decided to also block me on Twitter. However, when Jay caught wind of this, he unblocked me on Twitter so this way he could DM me, and we went back and forth for a bit. Not much point in showing you these messages because basically how it went is that, we pretty much just talked back and forth about, how I did this and how I wasn't supposed to do that and all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And then Jay decided to host a meeting with him, myself, and Domtron. Oh, for God's sake. Go away. Stupid robocalls. So we all got into a little meeting server that Jay probably made in like 5 seconds. And I came in with a bit of a proposal. So basically the situation had come to a pretty, let's say, rather high point to where this wasn't really going to work very well, so we had to come to an agreement. And I thought that the best way moving forward would be, well, either A, I get let back into the league, or B, Domtron gets released from the league. Well, of course, Jay being Jay, wanting things to be the way that he wanted, which is a little bit ironic for reasons I'll get into a bit later, Jay came up with a third proposal where I would accept Domtron spending an hour at a time in the league whenever league activities were going on. So I was like, well, if it's only for an hour, then okay, I guess. So, if I couldn't get the deal that I wanted to get, then I suppose I would just settle for the next best thing. And for the longest time, the agreement went not too bad. So I guess a couple of things that I would bring up is that after I got kicked from the league, I actually made a tweet about the league saying how much of a joke the league was, and do not join this league because it's just a waste of your time. So part of the agreement was also that I would not talk bad about the league on the internet, and I wouldn't make a big deal of this whole situation. And another part of the agreement was that I would be in contact with Jay, so I wouldn't necessarily do any business with Jay. I would really get into contact with Jay about about scheduling issues, making sure that everything was at least serviceable. And for the longest time, the agreement went fine. But after that meeting, there were a few times where I had to contact Jay about some questionable things that were going on in the league. So the first time that me and Jay were having some issues was when it came to some scheduling things, because there was one point in time where they decided to do 3 races in a row, and I was like, what is going on? Because see, now this is where things start to get a little bit fishy, because the agreement was that Domtron would only be spending an hour a day in the league, and that was it. So I agreed to it thinking that was going to be the case. I did not, however, agree to Domtron spending 2, 3, or more hours in the league. I thought it was just going to be 1 hour. But nope, I guess we're going to twist the agreement up a little bit so Domtron can spend as much time in the league as he so pleases. And as long as I wasn't doing anything wrong, then everything was fine and dandy. And I couldn't accept this. So it was only right that caused a little bit of a ruckus, let's just say. So actually, before that all happened, I came up to Jay asking him, is the strip always going to be a regular thing? He was like, well, I don't know. It's like, Jay, he's the runner of his own league, and not even he knows what's going on. That just goes to show that Jay should not be in charge of an entire racing league. It's like, if you are in charge of a racing league that has actual drivers in it, you need to know exactly what is going on. Because if you don't know what is going on, you're not doing your job right. Especially when it comes to something as simple as scheduling. Like, how can you mess that up? It's like, come on, man. There's one point in time where out of nowhere, you host 3 races in a row, and you don't even know if you're going to do it again or not. Yeah. Honestly, after I heard that, I was glad that I wasn't in the league anymore. Like, honestly, like, if this league is just going to turn itself into a joke, then I don't want to be a part of it, honestly. Like, if I'm going to join a racing league, I want everything to go properly. I don't want any stupid schedule changes and stuff like that, because if you're going to run 3 races in a row of absolutely nowhere, your league is turning into a joke, you don't know what you're doing, you should not be in charge of a racing league. But of course you have Jay thinking that he knows what he's doing, when in fact he doesn't. So, oddly enough, this little back and forth thing about the triple header thing happened on June 3rd, and for the longest time I did not need to contact Jay once. That was until June the 18th. And now we get into the reason why I am making this video and going public about this. So up to this point, Domtron had not said a word in any of our groups on Tuesday or Wednesday. Like the last time that me and Domtron really talked to each other was on Monday when we did Top Gear Talk Show episode 5. So basically after that, Domtron went Tuesday and Wednesday without saying a single word. And Thursday he finally spoke up, and I got good news for once from him that Domtron would be free for almost the entire day. Because Domtron did have an appointment at 4 to 5, which I was okay with. Domtron would still hopefully be in the group chat for most of the day, so we could do some stuff that I was thinking about doing, But then, out of absolutely nowhere, Domtron apparently has to attend a practice that's going on in the league out of absolutely nowhere. So then I asked Domtron, well, how long is this practice going to go on for? And he said, well, I have a meeting at 4, so I'm probably going to be in the league until then. So then I messaged Jay and said, I hear you guys are doing a practice session. Do me a favor and make it quick. And then Jay was like, no, I don't have to do that for you. No. No, I'm not doing any favors for you. I'm going to run my league however you want, and you can't tell me what to do because I am the law. So then after Jay said this, I came out and said, keep in mind, we made an agreement. Stick to it. So then Jay was like, you know what, if you want to be like this, then we're going to have another quick meeting. So then I was like, well, this meeting is really unnecessary. You just have to just stick to the agreement. But no, of course Jay insisted that the quick meeting happened. So then I said to him, well, I don't see this league going absolutely anywhere, but okay, I guess. So a few minutes later, the meeting actually took place, and I was going to the league thinking, okay, it was going to be like the last meeting where we were going to have to come to a new agreement because it was clear that the current agreement that we had wasn't working properly. So I went into the call and I was like, I was like, well, I don't see this meeting going absolutely anywhere, but if you have any proposals, then, well, what do you got? And then immediately, Jay started turning into a rage monster. Basically, if you watch Kamikaze Games' rage videos where he screams in front of a camera,
he did everything he could! He went 110%!
Jay's rage was based up to that level, and I'm starting to think that Jay watches Kamikaze Games and then gets influenced by him and feels need to rage over effectively nothing. And this turned out to be another example of Jay being a snowflake. So for this first bit, Jay's response can pretty much just be summed as rage, 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 and nonsensical rage. But then Jay once again decided to start twisting some narratives into things that were not. He goes back to when I posted that tweet on Twitter about how the league is so bad, and I told him, well, actually, I deleted that tweet, so I don't even know what you're talking about. So Jay tries to spin the narrative that I made a tweet about his league, which he told me to delete funny enough after our last meeting. And I deleted it, but apparently Jay didn't know that, and he wanted to spin that narrative some more. So it's like, he tries to make a point of how I'm such a bad person, and he screws it all up. Like, come on, man. So then he brings up some more recent events of how I keep complaining to Jay every single time that he runs a league event. It's basically like every single time Jay has something on the league, I always have something to say, which again is false. There have only in the first few times that Jay was running the league, I had to ask him some questions, and I wasn't even that rude when I asked those questions. I was, passive. I was more politically correct because I know that Jay doesn't like it when I'm politically incorrect. So I was like, fine. If you want to be so politically correct, then I will be so politically correct with you as well. But actually, after June 3rd, when I asked Jay about doubleheaders, Jay actually hosted quite a number of events in the league, and I didn't even say anything about it up until this point. So this is basically where Jay starts to make me out as a bad person by twisting narratives into something that they're not. Already you can see that there are some obvious flaws with Jay's behavior. There were a few other things that Jay brought up that I can't remember off the top of my head. Looking back, I probably should have recorded the meeting in question so I could share it with you guys. But unfortunately, I didn't think of it at the time. It would have been a really good idea, but unfortunately, yeah, I didn't think of it. So you guys are gonna have to take my word for this. You guys are gonna have to take my word for it. Then Jay brings up how I'm supposedly a jerk to my friends, which is pretty much false again. But things get even more shaky about this. Jay then brings up that he messaged 4 other people that I apparently know, and apparently these 4 people in question have all come out to say that I am a jerk. He doesn't mention these people names, so these people that Jay is talking about could actually be completely fictional. These could be phantom people that Jay is making up so he can push his point across. But unfortunately for Jay, he didn't mention the people's names in question. I don't even know who these 4 people are. So again, they could just be phantom people that Jay is making up so he can push his fake narrative and make me look like more of a bad person than I actually am sometimes. Here's something that you should know, by the way. If you want to push a point across to me, the absolute best way to do it is to have some hardcore evidence. Show me some hardcore evidence of something that I did that maybe could make me a bad person. Don't just make something up. Don't just make up evidence. Show me evidence that is real, hardcore evidence that cannot be countered. That is the best way and the simplest way to get your point across if it's something about me. Otherwise, it doesn't come across, and I can just come at you back saying, where's your evidence? You've shown me nothing. You're just making stuff up that probably didn't even actually happen. Who knows, maybe these 4 people are real and I don't actually know these people. You just message them because, I don't know, it's so shady that Jay, he tries to push a narrative that isn't even real. He just tries to make me out more of a bad person. I don't know, because he hates me. He doesn't like it when I badmouth him. But, that really, again, shows how much of a snowflake that Jay is, and the fact that he just, to this point, he just can't take the fact that I exist, and I have my own opinion about things, and my own ways of thinking about things, I'm not a normal person. I have a lot of unpopular opinions. And most of all, I don't think like a normal person, I have something that's called critical thinking skills, which is something that Jay clearly lacks, and something that Dumbtron kind of lacks as well, because Dumbtron isn't very good at making up his own opinion about this whole thing either. He just piggybacks off of what Jay is saying, because, I don't know, I guess just because Dumbtron just isn't smart enough to make his own opinion. Kind of a shame, really. There were a couple other things that Jay brought up to try to make me look like even more of a bad person. I can't remember what these things were off the top of my head, but they weren't. They were just minor points and more of just Jay being a snowflake. But there's not really much point in getting into it. At this point, I have made Jay out to be a complete snowflake, a joke of a human being who runs a joke of a league. Honestly, this guy shouldn't even be on the internet, let alone managing an entire racing league with actual drivers. It's one thing to run an offline racing league. Like, if you're running an offline racing league, do whatever the heck you want. I don't care. But if you're running an online racing league with actual players, you need to know what you're doing. Otherwise, you will mess things up, and that is exactly what Jay has done. He has screwed so many things up in his own racing league that, honestly, I'm glad I'm not a part of the racing league anymore. I got released from the racing league because Jay is a little snowflake, but honestly, I probably would have left the league at some point on my own anyways, because of just how much of a joke that's become and how much of a joke that Jay is. So I went on a little bit of a tangent back there, so I guess one more thing to bring up is that when the meeting was almost over, Jay came out and said, "I'm going to block you on all social medias, Discord, Twitter. We will not talk to each other ever again." That's Jay's words, by the way. And so Jay blocked me on Twitter and Discord. So now we come to where things are now. Jay has blocked me on all social media, so I have no way of talking to him up front. However, in that act of blocking me on all social medias, Jay pretty much broke the agreement that we made, because part of the agreement was that I would talk to Jay if I had any issues with him, as far as scheduling was concerned. However, he broke that agreement after he blocked me on all social medias. However, part of the agreement was also that I wouldn't talk bad about this league on social media. And if Jay wants to break the agreement by blocking me on all social medias, then you know what? I'm going to break the agreement by making an entire video talking about this whole situation on YouTube. Because you want to know something, Jay? You can take away my freedom of speech. You can take away the person I care about for an hour. But you can't take away my critical thinking skills. And another reason why I'm making this video is because Jay, also came out and said, well, if you dare talk about my league on social media again, then I will have to escalate the situation further. And funnily enough, I've already been in one situation where someone on the internet was supposedly going to escalate the situation further, which he didn't. I guess since you guys may not know about this, on my Bank Coach's channel, which I don't really talk about on this channel very much because that's an adult channel where I upload adult content. But on my channel, I made a video because a certain someone who I won't mention for today, you guys can look deeper into that for yourselves. Someone to come on one of my videos, saying that they were going to escalate a certain situation further. And that was 2.5 months ago. And 2.5 months later, this other person who was supposed to go in to escalate the situation further hasn't even responded to my reply to his comment. And I wonder if Jay is going to do the same thing, where either he's going to, Jay said himself is going to escalate the situation further, and yet now he might not even care anymore. Honestly, though, I hope that Jay escalates the situation further, because I'm not going to put up with the situation any longer. So I guess something else that is probably worth mentioning in this video. You guys might ask, well, Phony, why are you so concerned about Dumbtron spending so much time in a racing league that you can't be in. And the reason for that is actually very simple. I don't like it when someone that I really care about spends time with someone that I don't like at all. I question if my friends are my friends if they're spending time with someone that I have a negative relationship with. If I have a negative relationship with somebody, I often want to just forget about that person, pretend they don't exist, move on with my life. But then, when a friend of mine is spending time with that person that I don't like, I feel the need to take action, and that's exactly what I have done. It's what I did with creating an alternate account and getting myself back into that league for a short period of time. It's what I did with messaging Jay to make the practice session as quick as possible, and it's what I am doing with this video. So if I were to say something to Jay, well Jay, if you made it this far into the video, I'm keen to know what your response is. You told me not to make a video or talk bad about your league on social media, which is exactly what I've done. So, what do you got for me now? Are you gonna bring me in for another quick meeting just so you can regurgitate the points that you already made, or are you gonna take it to the next level and take this to court? I don't know. Because one thing that I will have you know, Jay, you are the big reason why I am having to now come on the internet and talk bad about your league. You know, I would have probably said all these things to you privately in a meeting or a DM, except you wouldn't let me talk to you in the quick meeting that we had on Thursday, and you've also blocked me on social media, so I can't directly message you. So I'm having to make this video now. But then again, you broke the agreement, so I feel that gives me the right to do this. You're welcome. And if I were to mention Donald Trump in this case, well, really, this whole situation never would have exploded to this point if Donald Trump would have just left the league when I told him to. But no, even after all this, Donald Trump is still a part in the league, so I feel now to make an attempt to cancel Jay and cancel the league and get what I want. Because I've let things play out for the longest time, and now things are happening that I didn't expect to happen, so I feel like now it's time to sort of take control a little bit. So I guess that's all there really is to say for now. At this point in time, I have no idea what is going to come of this video. I have no idea how Jay is going to react to this video. There is a chance that Jay could just completely ignore this video and just let this video be on YouTube. Maybe people will stumble across this video and realize that Jay is bad news and this league is bad news, and unless you are a big yes man, you should not be a part of this league. However, Jay was very upset when I initially told him, really just to speed things up a little bit, you know, something that isn't even offensive. I mean, sure, I could have worded it a little bit nicer, but, you know, at the same time, the fact that Jay just got so upset over this, I feel like he is deserving of having the crud handed to him after he's handed the crud to me. So that being said, I wonder if Jay will have that reaction to this video. Who knows, maybe Jay will have a heart attack of the fact that I have now made a full video talking about Jay and his league and why both of those things are bad. Maybe Jay will be so mad about this video to the point where he might do something that I don't even expect to happen. That could be interesting. Or maybe now that this video is up, maybe now Jay will finally do what I want him to do, and this whole thing can be over, and I never have to talk about Jay or anything to do with this league ever again. Honestly, from this point onwards, I'm just gonna just let this whole situation just play out, and whatever happens, happens. Because at this point in time, I can't even be that supportive of Donald Trump because he has supported Jay, even though Jay has done all of these cruddy things. So yeah, that's pretty much why I'm just going to just let this play out from here on out. I will make an update video or a community post talking about what came of this video, what's happened, what's changed, and stuff like that. Things are definitely going to be interesting though, and I am looking forward to seeing what happens. With all that being said, I hope you guys got some insight up to where I was in the month of May and this whole situation that has been going on, you know. I've stayed quiet about this whole situation because I didn't really want this to go super viral, but as a result of our meeting on Thursday, now that's exactly what I want. And I think we can end this on a couple of Top Gear top tips. So first Top Gear top tip, if you're looking to join some sort of community, be it a racing league or just generally something that you find interesting, make sure you know what you're getting into before you get your friends involved. Because your friends could just ditch you, and these are friends that you could really care about. And another Top Gear top tip, if you are looking into running your own racing league on whatever game, know what you're doing, know how to take criticism, don't be a snowflake, and just generally keep people happy. That's actually a really easy thing to do. Unless, of course, your name is Jay and you're a massive snowflake, in which case you shouldn't even be on the internet, let alone running an entire racing league. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in whatever happens next.